No. You asked me a question.
I did. And
you asked me a question.
And you haven't answered my question.
So they're going to be out on the streets working.
You haven't answered.
Sobrang di ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta. Sana patuloy yung support.
What started as a flashy live TV segment quickly exploded into one of the most talked about cultural moments of 2026, as 20-year-old Filipina tennis star Alexandra Eala stunned viewers with 3 icy words directed at Pam Bondi. "Sit down, Barbie." The confrontation unfolded against the dramatic backdrop of America's 250th anniversary celebrations, a year already charged with record-breaking sporting events, political tension, and intense national pride. What was expected to be a routine discussion tied to an LGBTQ+ awareness campaign connected to Bondi instead turned into a defining flashpoint that blurred the lines between sports, politics, and pop culture. As sponsorships soared, global audiences expanded, and the spotlight on every major tournament intensified, the atmosphere was primed for something unforgettable. In that heated studio exchange, Eala's sharp, perfectly timed remarks silenced the room and instantly reverberated across social media, transforming her from rising tennis prodigy into a full-fledged cultural icon in a single broadcast. The clash wasn't just about tennis or television drama, it became a symbol of the broader cultural divisions shaping 2026, marking one of the most explosive and widely debated live moments of the year. For years, Pam Bondi built a reputation as a seasoned political operator, someone who knew every debate tactic, every deflection strategy, and every carefully calculated soundbite in the book. She wasn't known for being rattled, and she certainly wasn't known for losing control on live television. Yet in this instance, before an audience of millions, that image appeared to crack. The controversy had already been simmering beneath the surface, as an LGBTQ+ awareness campaign connected to her orbit drew increasing scrutiny from media insiders and activist circles. While the initiative had launched with polished messaging and heavy publicity, reports began to surface suggesting that key organizations linked to Bondi were hesitant to fully support or meaningfully engage with the campaign's stated goals. Critics alleged that the effort felt more like a carefully staged public relations maneuver than a genuine commitment, symbolism without substance, a rainbow banner displayed publicly while deeper policy positions told a more complicated story. Anger had been building for weeks as critics pointed to legislation they believed harmed LGBTQ+ communities, arguing that the campaign's messaging clashed sharply with real policy positions. Activists were outspoken, investigative journalists were digging deeper, and accusations of hypocrisy were circulating widely among those following the story closely. What had been missing, however, was a clear, unfiltered moment, someone willing to say it plainly, on the record, and in front of a national audience. What many outside the tennis world did not fully realize about Alexandra Eala is that her strengths extend far beyond the baseline. Known for her composure and discipline on court, she has also cultivated a reputation as thoughtful, well-read, and socially aware. She has openly admired trailblazers such as Billie Jean King, Martina Navratilova, Serena Williams, Naomi Osaka, and Coco Gauff, women who demonstrated that elite athletes can also be powerful advocates. Eala grew up studying not only match footage but the broader social history of the sport, understanding that with global visibility comes responsibility. By the time this live television moment arrived, she appeared clear about her values and prepared to stand by them. The broadcast itself was a globally syndicated special built to celebrate the upcoming summer sports calendar while reflecting on America's 250th anniversary, a high-profile program blending athletics, culture, and national identity. Pam Bondi was positioned as the experienced political voice, while Eala represented international youth and the next generation of global tennis talent. Producers likely anticipated a polished, respectful exchange filled with predictable enthusiasm. The opening moments followed that script: cordial greetings, shared excitement about the season ahead, and carefully framed discussion points. What no one in the control room seemed prepared for was how quickly the tone would shift and how dramatically the conversation would depart from expectations. The opening stretch of the broadcast unfolded exactly as producers had envisioned: polished praise for the summer tournaments, respectful nods to America's 250th anniversary, and a smooth, confident host guiding the exchange. Alexandra Eala came across as gracious and articulate, while Pam Bondi projected the authority and composure of a veteran political figure. For several minutes, everything followed the familiar rhythm of high-profile television, cordial, controlled, and comfortably predictable. The shift came the moment the conversation turned to the LGBTQ+ awareness campaign. When asked to reflect on inclusion in modern professional sports, many likely expected Eala to offer a carefully measured, media-trained statement about unity and diversity. Instead, she paused and looked directly at Bondi before speaking with a calm, deliberate clarity that altered the atmosphere in the studio. She discussed the lived realities of LGBTQ+ athletes, referencing teammates and friends she had encountered on tour, and spoke candidly about the difference between genuine allyship and what she described as performative branding campaigns that publicly embrace rainbow symbolism while remaining connected to policies critics argue undermine the very communities being celebrated. As the tension thickened, Eala's tone remained steady. Then came the word that instantly reframed the entire exchange. Maintaining eye contact, she used a term that carried enormous historical weight during a year dedicated to celebrating American independence. In the context of a national milestone centered on freedom and founding principles, the accusation landed with particular force not as a casual insult, but as a pointed moral challenge. In that moment, the conversation ceased to be routine television and became something far more consequential, charged, and impossible to ignore. The accusation was more than a sharp critique, it was framed as a moral contradiction. By celebrating freedom and equality during a historic national milestone while, in critics' view, supporting policies seen as limiting LGBTQ+ rights, Pam Bondi was being challenged on the consistency between rhetoric and record. The charge was delivered with measured precision by Alexandra Eala, and its impact was immediate. Observers later described a silence so thick it felt physical, as though the energy had been pulled from the studio. The host appeared momentarily unsettled, crew members stiffened, and for a brief second Bondi's trademark composure seemed to falter just long enough for viewers to sense the shift. To her credit, Bondi quickly regrouped. A veteran of high-stakes political debate, she pivoted into a more combative posture, questioning Eala's authority to comment on American legislative matters and implying that the young athlete might be venturing beyond her expertise. The strategy was familiar: reframe the issue, challenge the messenger, and redirect the focus. She suggested that complex policy discussions require deeper institutional knowledge and hinted that Eala, as an international sports figure, might not fully grasp the intricacies involved. But by that point, the dynamic had already changed. What began as a celebratory discussion about sport and national identity had transformed into a broader debate about authenticity, accountability, and who gets to speak on issues of equality in a globalized sporting arena. The exchange underscored a larger cultural tension in 2026: whether athletes should stick to sports or use their platforms to engage with social questions that affect their peers and communities. Regardless of where viewers stood, the moment marked a clear turning point in the broadcast, one that would be replayed, dissected, and debated long after the cameras stopped rolling. The implication was unmistakable: return to the tennis court and leave governance to the professionals. It was a familiar attempt to narrow the boundaries of who is qualified to speak. But what many outside the sport underestimated about Alexandra Eala is that her poise is matched by preparation. Teammates and coaches have long described her as thoughtful, widely read, and socially aware, an athlete who studies not only opponents, but history and context. She has often cited the example set by trailblazers such as Billie Jean King, Martina Navratilova, Serena Williams, Naomi Osaka, and Coco Gauff, players who demonstrated that elite performance and principled advocacy are not mutually exclusive. Eala has spoken about understanding the responsibility that comes with visibility, particularly when teammates and friends are directly affected by the issues being debated. The broadcast itself amplified the stakes. It was a globally syndicated special celebrating the upcoming summer sports calendar while reflecting on America's 250th anniversary, a prestige production built for massive audiences and real-time impact. With no edits and no second takes, every word carried weight. In that high-pressure setting, what unfolded was more than a disagreement between a rising tennis star and a seasoned political figure. It became a broader cultural moment about voice, authority, and the evolving role of athletes in public discourse. Pam Bondi was positioned as the seasoned political authority, the establishment figure expected to bring weight and gravitas to the nationally televised special, while Eala represented international youth and the new generation of global tennis excellence converging on American soil during a historic sporting year. On paper, the pairing appeared balanced and complementary, and producers likely anticipated a smooth, well-managed exchange filled with polished talking points. The opening minutes unfolded exactly that way. Warm pleasantries, shared enthusiasm for the upcoming tournaments, respectful tributes to the significance of the 250th anniversary celebrations, and a confident host guiding the conversation with practiced ease. Eala was composed and articulate, Bondi was poised and authoritative. Everything tracked perfectly with expectations until the discussion shifted to the LGBTQ+ awareness campaign. When asked about inclusion and equality in modern professional sports, many in the studio likely expected a carefully calibrated, public relations-friendly answer about unity and diversity. Instead, Eala paused, turned deliberately toward Bondi, and spoke with striking calm. She addressed the lived realities of LGBTQ+ athletes, referencing friends and colleagues she had met on tour and the struggles she had personally witnessed. She warned about the risks of performative allyship campaigns that publicly embrace rainbow symbolism while, critics argue, failing to align that messaging with meaningful policy commitments. In that moment, the tone of the broadcast changed completely, and what had begun as a celebratory discussion transformed into a far more pointed and consequential exchange. When Eala delivered her words, the impact was instantaneous and electric. She called Pam Bondi a traitor, fixing her gaze unflinchingly on Bondi as she spoke. That single word reverberated far beyond the studio. It was not a casual insult, but a deliberate, historically charged indictment. In a broadcast celebrating America's 250th anniversary, a year dedicated to independence, freedom, and foundational ideals, accusing someone of betrayal carried profound moral weight. Eala was not merely highlighting hypocrisy, though she certainly did. She was pointing out the contradiction of publicly claiming to champion freedom and equality while simultaneously supporting policies that restrict or diminish the rights of LGBTQ+ Americans. The statement landed like a depth charge in the studio, an intellectually sharp, emotionally devastating challenge that silenced everyone present. Witnesses described the atmosphere as if the air had been sucked from the room. The host, a veteran of high-pressure interviews, appeared genuinely alarmed. Camera operators stiffened, and Bondi, one of the most seasoned political figures of her generation, seemed momentarily stunned, her composure cracking for just a heartbeat. The timing of this moment was particularly significant within the broader context of the WTA Tour. The 2026 generation of women's tennis is widely recognized as the most socially conscious, politically engaged, and culturally impactful in the sport's history. These athletes grew up watching figures like Naomi Osaka withdraw from major tournaments to protect mental health, sparking global conversations, Coco Gauff speak at political rallies and before Congress, and Serena Williams confront officials mid-match on the world stage. The double standards applied to women's emotional expression in sport were clear, and Eala's intervention was a natural extension of this legacy. She is not an outlier, she is the newest, most striking embodiment of a lineage of athletic courage, continuing the tradition of athletes who understand that their platform carries the responsibility to speak truth even when it is uncomfortable. Unlike some of her predecessors who grew into their roles as cultural figures over years of public scrutiny, Eala arrived fully formed. She stepped onto the television set with a clear sense of identity and left having broadcast that identity to the world in 3 unforgettable words. Looking ahead to the remainder of the 2026 season, the ramifications for her tennis career are striking. On one hand, the elevated profile brings extraordinary pressure. Every match will be scrutinized not just for athletic performance, but as a cultural event. Media outlets will parse her focus and composure. Opponents will understand that defeating her carries symbolic weight beyond rankings or prize money, and the expectations on her shoulders are enormous. Yet, everything known about Eala suggests that she thrives under pressure. Her supporters and coaching team argue, and her track record confirms that high stakes sharpen her focus and elevate her performance. The televised confrontation with Pam Bondi may have marked a pivotal moment of self-realization, the instant she fully embraced her voice without modulation or compromise. Such liberation speaking absolute truth publicly often catalyzes extraordinary competitive growth. Athletes who harness that authenticity frequently undergo remarkable transformations, and the rest of the WTA Tour is likely taking notice. Meanwhile, for Bondi, the repercussions continue to unfold. Investigative scrutiny of her associated organizations and the LGBTQ+ campaign is intensifying, drawing attention from multiple media outlets, activist groups, and even congressional offices, suggesting that the political and reputational consequences of the confrontation are far from over. The funding structures and stated objectives of the organizations involved may not lead to legal or formal political consequences, but the reputational impact is already massive and growing. The image of a seasoned political operator being left speechless by a 20-year-old tennis player on live television is unforgettable, seen by hundreds of millions and destined to be referenced in political and cultural commentary for years. The phrase, "Sit down, Barbie," will follow Pam Bondi like a perfectly aimed verbal arrow, lodged permanently in the public imagination. As the 2026 summer tennis season approaches with unprecedented intensity, the courts will be packed, broadcasts will break records, and the stakes will be higher than ever. At the center of it all will be Alexandria, walking onto the court with the confidence of someone who has nothing left to prove and everything left to achieve, the girl who refused to be manageable, the woman who confronted power, the champion who may not yet hold a Grand Slam trophy but has already changed the game. This is why Court Eva Tennis exists, not just to cover tournaments, rankings, and technical brilliance, but to capture extraordinary, unscripted moments when sport, culture, courage, and truth collide. This week, we witnessed history, and the story is far from over. If this video fired you up even half as much as it fired up that studio audience, smash that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Did Eala go too far, or deliver the most perfect shutdown in live TV history? Are you with her all the way to the Grand Slam final, or will the spotlight catch up? Is "Sit Down, Barbie" the greatest three-word comeback in sports, or can you think of better? And if you're watching this without being subscribed to Court Eva Tennis, hit subscribe and the notification bell to follow this story all the way through what promises to be the most extraordinary season in the history of the sport. Court Eva Tennis always brings the fire first, loudest, and always on the side of anyone brave enough to tell the truth.
No, you asked me a question.
I did, and
you asked me a question.
and you
I'm
haven't
gonna
answered
answer
my
it.
question.
So they're going to be out on the streets working
You haven't
hand in hand
answered my
with
question.
I think yan yung talagang pinaka nakakaiyak sa akin is when they play Lupang Hinirang or any like the national anthem and parang matagal ko nang